Hey guys, welcome back to Ad Lib Talk, and this is my review for Godzilla vs. Kong. If you asked me to use 3 words to describe this movie, I wouldn't even need to think about them. Big, loud, and dumb. I think these 3 words perfectly describe what kind of movie this is. And this is the kind of movie that completely puts off character development and any kind of decent writing for an absolute blast of action sequences. But before we get into this review, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing, as those are the 2 main ways you can help support my channel here at Ad Lib Talk. Cheers, and let's get right into that review. So, if I were to review this movie in the same format that I review other movies, Godzilla vs. Kong would probably receive a 1 out of 5. Horrible writing, a weak plot that is literally just an excuse to get 2 monsters, 2 titans, whatever, fighting against each other. Boring characters. No, wait. Boring characters is a compliment for this movie. The characters literally made me want to stop watching this movie, and they did, because I had to rewatch it a second time just because of how annoying some of the characters ended up being. And literally, Millie Bobby Brown and her friend's storyline is just so bad. It reaches certain levels of horribleness that I haven't experienced in quite a while, to be honest. Every time she or one of her 2 friends appeared on screen, I just wanted to switch off the whole thing and just go watch something else. Really, let's ask each other this question, right? What was the point of Millie Bobby Brown's character? Was there a point to her at all? What did she actually do in the movie except for run around? Nothing, right? And then let's talk about one of our minor villains, Maya Simmons. I had to look up her name because, I don't remember any of the names of the characters in this movie, because they are remarkable, but they are remarkable by just how unremarkable they are, right? Anyways, Maya Simmons, daughter of Apex CEO, whose contribution to this movie was to say, "That's gross," after Kong bites into a head he had torn off of a monster titan pterodactyl. Yeah, it's really bad. As you can see, the characters introduced in this story are pretty much all awful. All awful except for one. There was one performance that I must say did quite grow onto me during the movie's progression, and that is Gia. So Gia, who gives us a pretty decent performance, and I really appreciated the subtle emotions and expressions used by her. It is her debut performance, so props to her. The actress is actually also deaf, so props to her, and I'm sure we'll be seeing her in more movies like these, because her performance was really good. Her connection with Kong, for example, was actually quite heartfelt, and I really felt something there. Seeing Kong use sign language was a really nice touch, and you can feel a relationship developing here. Unfortunately, this never really goes anywhere, apart from some small interactions here and there. I wish there was more focus on that aspect of the movie. Now, let's be honest, Gia's role probably actually worked because her role was not ruined by the horrible dialogue and writing of this movie, given that she is deaf. And yes, the writing and the dialogue in this movie is bad. It's really bad. The plot is literally nonsensical. Nothing makes sense. Characters blurt out science phrases like we're expected to understand them, and then pass funny comments. As you can tell, the humor really did not work. Never once did I laugh. I honestly can tell you, I never laughed in this movie. I never even smiled during this movie, except for the fight sequences, which I will be talking about in a bit. Most of the times, I really could not understand any kind of character motivation or any reason for any of all this to be happening, or any of the human characters to be doing anything at all in this movie. And even the exposition is done poorly. None of it at all makes any kind of sense. Now you're probably thinking, Andrea, who the hell really cares about the characters? Who the hell cares about the dialogue? And who the hell cares about the writing in a Godzilla versus Kong movie? And I mean, you make a fair point, but why shouldn't we have solid human characters and solid, developing relationships, at least between some of the characters, like we have with Gia and Kong, which is a good relationship, a good development in the movie. Why shouldn't the exposition actually make sense? Why shouldn't the dialogue at least be half funny, if at all be funny? Because this doesn't really need to be funny at all. I mean, there's this craze about making everything funny, right, and everything lighthearted, and I think it's quite obvious where this craze came from, but it doesn't have to be so. And let's be honest, the talent here on screen is not half bad. There are some very good actors here. It's just that the writing and the dialogue and everything is pretty much dog shit. Anyways, let's talk about the Titan fights, because that's why we're all here, right? The Titan fights. And yes, it is visually stunning. And yes, I was shocked by just how real the fights felt. Special effects really have come a long way. And both Godzilla and Kong really look incredible. And I really am glad that the punches and the kicks and the slams and whatever, they all have this real visceral feel. You can actually feel the impact onto the flesh of Kong when Godzilla scratches on, and when Kong punches Godzilla in the face, you can feel the punch. It feels real. It's not, it's all CGI, and of course, but it still feels quite real. The punches hit and hit hard. Anyways, there are 3 main fights in this movie. The first fight on the sea was actually quite good. I was surprised by how good it was. The build-up, the tension was very good. The build-up of tension was very good in that scene. And seeing Godzilla take on Kong, obviously Godzilla was a favorite there. It is his environment after all. His strength, right, was very good, and I enjoyed it. The second fight, again between Kong and Godzilla, was out of this world. However, the setting of that fight was really very good. And Hong Kong was the perfect location for a massive Titan battle, and the neon lighting used serves as an excellent backdrop for all the action. I really cannot emphasize just how spectacular all of this looked. It is truly an enjoyable watch, and I will most definitely rewatch this part of the movie just because it is so visually striking. Then we have our final battle, our final antagonist, who I will not mention so as not to spoil the ending, and we have a pretty decent final showdown, which again was very fun to watch, and I love the way the whole dynamic of that fight worked. If you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, the humans had to ruin it again, and the ending of the final fight is so unsatisfying and so disappointing and completely ruined by the actions of certain human characters. Again, the human characters have to ruin everything. Finally, having heard quite a bit of criticism about the soundtrack from many different sources, I paid close attention to it, and I've got to be honest, I did not hate it. I mean, it's a carbon copy of the Batman v Superman soundtrack, which does feel like a bit of a cop-out from Junkie XL, and especially considering the amazing soundtracks we have had with both these Titans. Quite disappointing, but not as awful as I heard. Now, at the end of the day, this is Kong's movie. His relationship with Gia is truly the heart of this movie, and you'll find yourself empathizing with Kong and hoping he wins. If you're here to watch big titans beating each other to a pulp, you're in the right place. And you've probably already watched it, right? If, however, you want anything else rather than titans beating onto each other, do yourself a favor and don't watch it, because you will hate it. Also, make sure you bring your inner geek with you when you watch it, and don't forget to switch off your brains. That is very important, or you might stop watching it midway through. With regard to rating, it's not easy to rate this movie because it does so much that is bad. But ultimately, this movie knows what it wants to be, right? And knows what it is. It is a battle between titans. And with that in mind, I must say that it did achieve what they set out to achieve. So, to be honest, I did not enjoy this movie as much as I hoped, but I think it still deserves a 3 out of 5 for just how spectacular the fight sequences at the end were. And next time, however, suggestion for these kinds of movies, please just focus on the characters that we love and care about, not the useless, boring characters who do literally nothing throughout the whole movie, just annoy you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video and please do consider subscribing. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Ad Lib Talk.